Welcome to Ending the Stupid Gender War. This show will go over the most common gender war arguments between men and women. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let us go ahead and begin, shall we? Alright, so we're going to be determining if what men and women are saying these days with the gender war. Yes, there always has been a gender war ever since the birth of feminism, machismo, which is toxic masculinity. Yes, it does exist. Anybody saying that toxic femininity and masculinity don't exist is a fool. Okay, all of this proves it and so much more to come. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive deep with seeing if what females say first, then we'll go over the men, is really stupid or valid. All right. Let's go ahead and examine this, shall we? So, one of 5 things that women are saying today. Your entire style is a free t-shirt from a tech conference and cargo shorts. All right, so criticizing what men wear, right? You look like a toddler who dressed himself. Wow, that's pretty brutal, isn't it? You're telling me and everyone else that you have zero respect for the world you live in. Her point is that a man's total lack of effort in his appearance feels like a lack of respect for her and everyone around him. Not always true, okay? Like, look, it's a confidence issue, and it's also maybe a state of laziness. Should we really be too hard on men? Maybe that's the way they want to dress. But these are really harsh things to say. Obviously, we're in the gender war, so nothing is going to be nice. Okay? That just goes without saying. None of this is going to be nice. But does she have a point? Kind of, sort of. But the way that a female, because she doesn't deserve to be called a real woman, but let's just call her a woman. Who cares? For the point of simplicity, right? Now, if she's being this disrespectful, you're dressing like a toddler, you're telling the world, it's just so toxic. You do not want to be with this, okay? This is a toxic woman right here. For the purpose of simplicity. Now, does she have a point that she could have put a lot more kindly and intelligently? Yes, obviously. Men should be aware of how they dress. Now, if you're overweight, obese, you're very limited, right? And the clothes you can wear. I get it. But if you have the money, then you should go buy yourself some new threads, as they say, some new clothes. I mean, it has to deal with self-respect, yes. But this is an exaggeration, saying zero respect for the world and for her. No, it's not necessarily about respect. It's about confidence and about how much do you actually consider yourself, worthy to show yourself to the world in a better way. So a more casual way. Maybe you want to dress in that t-shirt or hoodie or hat because, it's not that you don't take yourself seriously, but you just feel too comfortable, right? That's okay. There's a time and place to do that. But yes, if you guys, that's up to you guys as partners, right? In a relationship. Because you're going to be left with the nagging wife who's going to be controlling exactly what you wear. That's not cool, okay? That is manipulative, abusive behavior. If she's trying to dress you like a doll, like a mannequin. She could suggest what you should wear, and you could suggest what she should wear, but in the end, you guys have to make up your own minds. But stuff like this, it's actually disrespectful to talk this way to a guy. Saying like you dress like a toddler. So this is by far extremely offensive, but she has a point, but on a very low scale of validity. Her only point is, hey, she could have said it like this. Don't you want to go buy some new clothes? I'll come with you and tell you what I think is good, but you don't have to, right, honey? But the way I feel about it, I think you deserve to wear better clothes. And maybe even gift him a shirt that you would like to see him wear, some pants or whatever it is, right? There's ways of communicating these feelings. So, but we're in the war, okay? The gender war. The next thing that a toxic woman would say you'll drop 2 grand on a gaming chair, but act like a $30 face wash is a conspiracy. Okay, so here we go with the nagging wife in most cases. You're investing in everything but the man you actually are. Okay, this is now you just crossed the line, right? Your skin looks like a pizza. Wow. Because you treat your body like a dorm room. Her point is that men will spend on hobbies but refuse basic self-care, signaling they've given up on self-improvement. Okay, so once again, from a different angle, right? I mean, basic hygiene, how you take care of yourself now physically. We're not even talking about aesthetically with clothes, with apparel. But that's an insult, obviously, to tell you that, your skin looks like pizza. Okay, so this is obviously a very toxic thing. We're in the gender war, okay? We're deep in the nitty gritty here. What guys are complaining about all the time, right? So investing your money once again into personal care, into hygiene, right? Basic self-care. This could be true. Now, that's an offensive way of dropping that suggestion. Again, we're not talking about clothes, we're talking about how you take care of yourself. That's as personal as it gets when it's skin deep, okay? So obviously she failed again to convey the point. But it's supposed to be like that, right? Because that's how a lot of toxic women are out there. So my suggestion is, guys, you do you, right? But you do have to be conscientious. If she has a problem, if you smell bad or whatever, well, there's ways of telling him, right? Hey, stinky skunk, I think you should take a shower. That's not offensive because she's being playful with you. Now, if you take offense to that and you don't think you smell, well, that could be an argument, right? It is what it is. You don't think you smell bad, and you think you take care of yourself, the bare minimum, but you're fine with that, you're comfortable. So these are these battles of state of comfort, right? The way you dress, the way you conduct your own hygiene, right? Your care for your own hygiene and whatnot. Yeah, these are matters of preferences, but I mean, if you're living together, this is going to be a big deal that needs to be addressed. Now, how you guys smell, that we're going to get into that a little bit later, but that's a very personal issue that does need to be discussed. But once again, with respect and consideration, you don't just drop all these toxic bombs like this. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I mean, these are all conversation solution based. Just have the conversations on a mature level. You don't have to get with all this toxic emotional distress acting here, okay? This is all unnecessary. My goodness. Number 3, it's so intense already. That beard isn't a style, it's a hiding spot. All right, so now she's criticizing your beard, right? Maybe you want the beard. Okay, but if you're with her, her opinion matters, right? Like it or not, you have to take into account your partner's opinions about you. But again, there's a nice way of saying these things. So to say it's out of style, we're already on a level of immaturity here. Okay, disrespectful communication, if you can even call it that. You're using facial hair like a curtain because you're too lazy to shape the face underneath. Wow. Okay. It's not rugged, it's just dirty, and everyone's too polite to tell you. Her point is that poor grooming isn't a choice, it's negligence, and it's physically unattractive. Okay, well, she's right about that. Unkempt hair is going to be physically unattractive. It is probably negligence in the form of laziness, right? Or maybe that he just doesn't know how bad it is, and you're reminding him, hey, it really does look bad, honey. Sure, that's a legit point, but once again, why don't you just tell him in a kind way? You don't have to be so nagging and disrespectful, right? Because that's a huge red flag. Doesn't matter if you guys are already married, I don't care how many years. You don't disrespect your partner like this. This is horrific. I don't care what phase or stage you guys are in. Friendship, dating, whatever you guys prefer. All right. So obviously that's the guy's choice whether he wants the beard or not. But again, just like with the clothing and hygiene, you have to be conscientious and aware of how your partner feels about your appearance. Should they control you as to whether you shave it off or not, the beard? Well, as long as if you're going to have the beard, you should groom your beard accordingly. But this isn't the military. You guys have to either negotiate about it. Maybe I'll just keep a mustache. Maybe I'll shave the mustache or trim or whatever. You guys have to have, once again, a a mature, healthy level of communication about these things. You don't have to drop bombs over this. This is nothing to explode about, people. These are little nitpicking things, but it could be a big problem. If you guys are kissing and the beard pinches her, whatever it is, you might think it's small, but it's actually really big for her. Her feelings and thoughts have to count as long as they're being conveyed in a respectful manner. Understand? And that's it with the top 3 here. Now let's go to number 4 and 5. All right, so stop using that one photo from 2015 on every app. You're not the guy in that picture anymore. Wow. All right, trying to make the guy feel so depressed about his self-image. All right, so you're catfishing with a ghost because you've given up on who you are now. What am I supposed to do with that? So her point is that using old photos is deceptive and shows a man is living in the past, not investing in his present. Well, maybe he doesn't feel comfortable with the way he looks now. Maybe he has some weight to lose. Maybe he's going through some depression or whatever it is. He's not smiling like always. Look, let him have his nostalgia. Let him have his reflection on the past. There's nothing wrong with that. But this, once again, is a toxic way of bringing it up, right? Like, you're not that man anymore. That's disrespectful. Because the truth is, you're every single man you used to be and every man that you're going to be. Every single year, you're a different man. Just a slightly better. Or sometimes slightly worse. But it is what it is. You have your challenges to overcome, just like every single one of us in this world. So, stop using that photo. He can use whichever photo he wants. So this is a bad argument right here. Catfishing with a ghost? No, this is completely invalid, right? Now, if she's trying to boost your motivation and confidence to say, hey, why don't you use some new updated photos? That's just a simple suggestion, okay? That's as far as that conversation goes. Either he accepts it, the idea, or not. Let's move on to the last argument here. You make jokes about plastic surgery, but your browser history is full of women who've had everything done. Well, nothing wrong with that. You don't want natural. You want a fantasy you can shame in public and search for in private. You're a walking contradiction. So her point is that men criticize artificial beauty while secretly desiring it, making their standards hypocritical and impossible. Okay, so this is just a general statement within the gender war. We're not really talking about a relationship here. It could be a topic in a relationship. But the truth of the matter is, every woman has the right to choose whether or not to go underneath the knife operations. I don't advise it, but if she really wants it, because of the risk, the anesthesia, the possible loss of life or complications, it's dangerous. Even cosmetic procedures, obviously. There's a certain level of risk. Sometimes they're higher, right? But if she insists, then you gotta be her cheerleader, right? But the thing is, with desiring women, that is a horrible, immature thing when guys say, well, every woman has to have natural breasts, right? Breast augmentation is stupid. It looks horrible. Keep those opinions to yourself. You have your own set of preferences. But every woman has a decision whether or not to augment themselves accordingly, cosmetically, right? So these procedures, if they do surgeries or not, those are their personal decisions, okay? So when men say stupid things, I have to give the point to the woman here in this case, not when she's calling him a hypocrite, but if it's a valid point, if the shoe fits with the guy she's talking about here. Yes, it is hypocritical because many men look at pornography and they have artificial breasts or, Brazilian butt lifts, whatever it is. And yeah, they have a merry old time with that. A lot of single men, right? And a lot of married men who are having trouble in the bedroom, so they turn to porn. Okay, I get it. But the point is still valid that Women are women. They're beautiful either with augmentation or without. Okay? Now, you can have your opinion on how they look. But beauty is only in the eye of the beholder. So if they think they're beautiful, you got to leave it at that. If they say they're a perfect 10, then they're a perfect 10. Now, if you come over and you say, no, I don't think they are, well, that's your opinion, right? But if you're talking about your partner in a relationship, you better be very careful with that, because otherwise you're with the wrong person if she's not a perfect 10. And if you're one of those losers who say nobody's perfect, you're not ready for a lifelong committed relationship. You're not. You have to both be perfect for each other. Got it? I'm not going to repeat that, but I would. But it's just a waste of time. So let's go ahead and move on to what the men have to say in the gender war. Off to the start. Right off the bat. Your no makeup. Okay, so this is kind of following up with what we were talking about. Your no makeup takes longer than my workday. You've turned natural into the most exhausting performance of your life. Wow. How can anything be real with you when your authenticity is staged? So his point is that the extreme effort to look effortless feels deeply inauthentic and exhausting to deal with. Who cares? If she wants to take an hour to put on makeup, that's... I mean, if you're in a relationship, that's who you're getting into bed with. All right? I mean, my guy, it's not that bad. It's not a big deal. You know, I mean, go play some video games. Go watch some movies, or I don't know. But, I mean, look, if she is taking way too long, I don't know. You guys got to discuss it, right? Because now it's a time issue. So either she does it earlier, or if it's impromptu, say, honey, you look fine, with doing like a minimalist touch-up. Tell her how beautiful she looks even without makeup. Or if you think she does need makeup, well, you guys got to settle that between you guys. But let me tell you guys something. You know, being harsh on women saying, you know, you wear makeup and you don't show your real face, that's their choice. Especially when they're showing it to public. That shouldn't matter to you guys. None of you guys. Whether they had surgeries, whether they put on makeup. Who cares? That's called freedom. What do you want? For all the women to not put on makeup? Look, makeup has evolved into something that can be out of control sometimes. Like you're wearing too much makeup. I call it the cake face. But again, that's their own freedom of choice. Let it go. Unless you're in a relationship with a woman who's doing this or that with makeup, then you can have that conversation about what you think and how she feels about what you think. Fine. But when you're stating nonsense like this out in the public, no, it's incorrect. Every woman, if they feel beautiful with makeup or without makeup, that's their own personal choice. Next. All right, so you don't just use a filter. Okay, now we're talking about digital makeup, right? The filters. All right, so you don't just use a filter, you live behind one. I've seen the real you in the morning. Okay, so now we're talking about a relationship. And it's like you're a secret you're trying to keep from the world. Who cares? Just use the damn filter. Who really cares about that? Even from me. What are you talking about? She can't use a filter in real life offline, buddy. That's not a filter. That's a lie. Wow. This is toxic behavior on the guy's part. And tell yourself every day. His point is that constant filtering creates a false persona, making real intimacy real impossible. No, stop it. You can't use a filter offline. So who cares what she does online? I've seen guys just spaz out over this. They're just freaking twerking out over this. Just tweaking out over it. It's so immature. Who really cares, right? If they want to touch themselves up, I've seen plenty of touched up videos with filters and images. It's a little sad because they should be, you know, happy with how they look. A lot of them already look fantastic and they still use a filter. But who really cares in the end, right? I mean, especially your partner. Let it go. What is wrong with you? There are far more important things in life than to be arguing over gibberish like this. That's senseless. So, point for the women there. You call it a body positive post. Here we go again with what women do online. Who cares? But it took 200 photos and perfect lighting. Okay, if that's the case, and this is not an exaggeration, then yeah, there is concern for the woman here. actually taking 200 photos to get the right photo to make on a post. But again, that's her freedom to do so. A little psychotic, right? All right. But you haven't accepted your body. Well, that's her choice, if she does or not, right? Now, if she has like body dysmorphia, she's never happy with herself physically, then that could be cause for concern. But again, there's nice ways of conveying that point, right? You've just learned to market it. That's not confidence. That's a sales pitch. Wow. And I'm tired of being sold to. His point is that curated body positivity online feels like a commercial performance, not genuine self-acceptance. Okay, if she's your partner, stop it. You're the toxic one. It doesn't matter. But if she has body dysmorphia characteristics here, signs, right, then you guys should have that serious conversation, and that's a valid point. All right? Because nobody should be taking 200 freaking photos of themselves and finding the perfect one to post online. That's called obsessive compulsive behavior, not necessarily the disorder OCD, but that is a behavior that's not healthy. You're not utilizing your time in a healthy way. You have the choice, the freedom to waste your time like that. Maybe once in a blue moon, if that's how serious you are, that one magical photo, but not like on a daily basis or far too. No, that's unhealthy behavior. So that would be point for the guy. But if it's somebody online doing this, let it go. This is a stupid argument, right? All right, so you pay to have your lips look permanently stung by a bee. Well, sometimes it's just simple lip plumpers with some spicy stuff that you stick on your... It's not a big deal, okay? Because some influencer did it. You didn't do it for men. You did it to compete with other women. Who cares? In a race nobody else is watching. You look like a meme. Wow, that's insulting. His point is that many beauty trends are for female competition, not male attraction, and can look absurd. Well, to you it might look absurd, but to other men they might like those luscious plump lips. The world isn't just for myself or yourself. The world belongs to everybody. People have their opinions and preferences. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If she wants fish lips, plump lips, slightly plump lips, oh, they're not natural though. Okay, maybe she has a thin upper lip that she wants to plump up. These are just matters of preference, okay? Now, once again, if you're in a relationship with a woman, you guys should have that conversation. How you feel about her plumping her lips, what you think about it, especially if it's something that's borderline unhealthy, like the chemicals that women put on every single day, shampoos, conditioners, makeup. There's a ton of carcinogenic chemicals that they're playing around with, right? But that's besides the point. Freedom is freedom. Like if you want to eat fast food as much as you want, go ahead. There are possible consequences to that, right? That's a conversation you should have. But if it's a lip plumper that's not going to do anything with plumping your lips, let it go, right? Unless you're in a relationship where you can have that mature level of conversation. Last one from the men. I literally don't recognize you when you take the makeup off. Okay, once again with cosmetics. You contour your face into a stranger's. You've turned your own skin into a costume. And then you get mad when I feel like I'm waking up next to someone different every day. Okay, so this is an actual relationship scenario, right? His point is that extreme makeup can feel like a disguise, eroding the trust and recognition at the core of a relationship. No, it has nothing to do with trust. I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? You should love your woman without makeup or with makeup if that's what she wants. So I literally don't recognize you as a clear exaggeration. That's a toxic way of putting it. If she's putting on so much makeup to where she's on a level of a geisha, a Japanese geisha, yes, that's going to be a problem, honey. No woman should be putting as much makeup as a geisha, like a completely pale face or whatever, like looking like a walking Italian mask. No. But, you know what? Freedom's still freedom in that case. But most likely, that's not a good idea, okay? Because you really are covering up. That's, once again, that falls into the category of possible body dysmorphia. You know, you're not happy with the way you look in the mirror. You know, you're not aging gracefully and accepting yourself for who you are at the present moment. Because you can't always be the 20-something-year-old whatever. You can try your best, and that's what's respected in society, and you should respect for yourself. Always trying to be your best, no matter what age you are. So makeup can help you, but sometimes it can make you look worse. It just depends on how well you know how to apply makeup. But yes, in this case, your partner's opinions and thoughts, they really do count, their feelings. But I mean, waking up next to someone different every day, extreme makeup can feel like a disguise. All right, well, this is an extreme situation. But for the most part, guys, if women want to put on makeup, that's their freedom to do so. Stop criticizing them. Stop bashing them, because that just makes you look so immature and so bad and toxic. But if it's your partner, then yes, you guys got to have that conversation if it bothers you that much, right? There could be a mental and emotional issue there with her. You guys have to dig deep, right? I mean, so this was all pretty much cosmetic. These 10 points here, 5 from the women, 5 from the men. So we'll just leave it at that. In future episodes, obviously, we're going to go into other toxic areas of the gender war. But yeah, for the most part, this is kind of the gist of it on both sides. There's a lot of women complaining about how men carry themselves and yada yada. And then the same applies with men. Look, I get it, right? But it is, in the end, about freedom and preference. So like it or not, it is what it is. And with that said, that does conclude today's show. So be sure to tune in next time for more gender war arguments, whether ridiculous or valid. Also, check out all of these other exciting shows shown right here. And much love, everybody.